to get that sip in. It's the Secrets Podcast. I'm Tiffany Gaines, host of the Secrets Podcast. It is an early morning, and I am taking a street detour for my usual broadcast. It's early. Soliloquy. Um, opine about sports, and ooh, I even got my morning softer tone going. Got my heat on, so if you hear that, it's cold. Pacific Northwest winters. But I want to take a detour today and talk about kind of my first love, which is people, as much as I struggle with the art of perfecting grace and acceptance of people as we are constructed with our own downloaded programming and fault lines and issues. I just kind of want to give a pep talk to myself and to some people who are around me who, I have these conversations with all the time about how we can be better versions of ourselves and how we can be better citizens to those around us. Um, Awareness is one thing that is ginormous. You know what? I'm not going to even edit that out. My tongue is flat this morning. Awareness is ginormous with me, and it's just I think ginormous with human beings. It is important, I think, that we see exactly who we are, or at least stay on a journey to figure out who we are, so that we can better treat ourselves and so that we can better treat other people around us. I think the lack of self awareness, the lack of perception, um, yeah, the lack of self-awareness, I mean, I think it limits your perception. It limits your perception as to how, you think people see you. It limits your perception as to how you are affecting the room that you're in, how you're affecting the people around you. Lack of self-awareness can be a weapon. It could be harmful to people who are in your circle, people you care about, at least to your emotional sense you care about. And lack of self-awareness as to how you move and behave and interact in relationship can be harmful to people, harmful to your relationships. And I don't always think that it's easy to check in to know who you are. I know that I talk a lot of times like it is easy, but it is not easy. Some people have life experiences that have really stalled their ability to kind of call into memory or to the forefront or into consciousness, hey, how I'm moving. Why am I ticking this way? Why am I responding this way? Why do I understand life this way? Why do I do these particular things? It's difficult for people to call to the forefront of their consciousness why they move the way that they move. And those people, I think, to those of us who know, to those of us, to whom much is given, much is required, excuse me, I do call myself one of those people because I understand the struggle that plagues people, us as human beings, to see ourselves. And if you've had, and of course, lots of people have had difficult lives. Everybody didn't have a loving mother. Even in the single parent home, if you had a loving mother, you would probably be ahead of the curve against compared to someone who had no parent at all. Someone who had a household with two abusive parents. Um, it just really depends on where your inner programming, how it was built, what your life experience was, what your rearing was, what your introduction to life has been. You know, it really is the gauge for what your perspective is, what your ability to even self reflect is. Were you in a home where you had opportunity to seek help? Were you in a home that was backed with religion? Were you in a home where you were just sort of isolated, alone, we're not allowed to talk about feelings? Were you in a home where feelings were suppressed and considered as weaknesses? Were you in a home where fear was instilled? All of these things really contribute to the programming that we operate as, you know, adults. A kid that's 16 is operating with whatever program has been downloaded ever since they were a child. And we are often so short tempered, man. And we always say, don't you know, or common sense should say, when that is really a relative thing, it is subjective, it is really based on experience. And there is no such thing as common sense. It's really just whatever the common experience of that individual is. The common experience of that individual says that this is normal. The common experience of this individual says that this is okay. The common experience of that individual, they don't know what you know. You didn't grow up together. You don't understand each other. Common sense isn't common, and it ain't the same thing to everybody. Um, you know, and so I think that we use the phrase common sense should say so loosely without truly considering the background scripture of the people around us. And if we are unable to really consider the background scripture of people around us, how can we really have an expectation that they know themselves how they're moving, right? Or what cloud they're casting. And even those of us who just kind of know, okay, I have some self-awareness about how I move, I have some self-awareness about who I am, including my faults and the things that I need to work on, right? I know those things myself, but it doesn't mean that you always have the tolerance or the ability. Just because you may be more self-aware than someone else doesn't mean that you are built and equipped to handle everybody else's bag of their lack of self-awareness. We all kind of have to walk in spaces that are safe for us. And sometimes we love people who are in dark places. We love people who are in not safe spaces. And sometimes it ends up being a detriment to us. We are not all built to carry each other. I think that we should effort each day to be better individuals. But again, that is if you are in a place and rendering to a spiritual source that gives you that ability to be, someone else's strength. But if you're not in a space where you're being built and prepped to be someone else's strength, I think oftentimes it is safe, it is okay to pull away for your sake and sanity, because we're all building and working on ourselves. And sometimes love is letting go. Sometimes love has to be self love. Sometimes you have to love yourself enough to recognize when you're in a situation where there is a lack of self awareness from someone else, and there is self awareness from you that this someone else is a lot to carry. Sometimes you have to exercise the art of self love and move away and pull away from people who are not yet in that space. Sometimes loving yourself means letting go of other people. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes it's unintentional. Sometimes it's hurtful. Sometimes it's scary because you worry. But we're all here to try to be better versions of ourselves. And I think the exercise is always within you first. The exercise should be to be better versions of ourselves first before we can even extend the hand to someone else. If I'm struggling with my temperament, if I'm struggling with my patience, I can't be the lean on for somebody else who is a person has outbursts, a person who has no patience at all, a person who lashes out. I'm struggling with trying to be graceful and patient. I can't be around a person who exposes that, who triggers that in me. I may love that person, but it may be best in this situation, or maybe in this, still growing phase, that I pull away from that individual that I may care very much about. Sometimes you have to rework the the wirings of relationships, and we don't always want to do that because we don't want to feel guilty. We attach ourselves to people, and we attach the responsibility of other people, and we just might not have the emotional budget to expense everybody else's pain. And I was talking to a good friend, one of my closest friends, yesterday about this very thing. And I think the one thing that I didn't share with her is sometimes love is letting go, but it may be self love. It may be self love, and it may be the preservation of your own spirit so that you can be there long term for someone else. And it may be in that moment that you have to pull back and choose to love yourself so that you can preserve yourself, especially for the people who do need you, for the people who are in close proximity. Sometimes we can't reach across the aisle to pull in and help someone else. If your emotional arms are short, then we have to recognize our limitations and know that we can't reach. But self awareness, the lack of, man, don't we all suffer from it? But I tell you what, I think that it is a catalyst in relationships. And there are some people, I think my biggest problem, my biggest struggle is I know some people who do know. My issue is it's not the people who don't know, but it's not necessarily that even in their not knowing that they are safe to be in close proximity and close relationship with, even if they don't know. But my issue is with the people who do know and are just emotionally lazy. That is where my lack of tolerance comes in, because I do believe that there are a lot of people who are emotionally lazy, who do understand what their struggles are, but just look for other people to deal with them. That is truly where I have no grace. If you are aware that you have an issue, or if you are on a therapist call list, reservation appointment list because of some issues, and you are careless in how you handle those things, and your expectation is that other people deal with it, or you don't seek to reconcile the moment that you falter, because you're not perfect, right? Nor am I. But I think that the best that we can do is, hey, I was short in that situation. Hey, I could have done better in that situation. Hey, I'm working on some things. I want to apologize, or I want to extend some mending to this situation, or whatever happened. I think the expectation that people deal with our garbage is emotionally lazy. To those of us who know, to those of us who are aware, the expectation that someone else carries you in your nonsense is where I draw the line. Now, once there's an expectation, or once you have been educated about who you are, and you just feel like it's just too much to change, then grace for me, I'm not there. I'm not there. And I think that it is fair. And that is the easiest time for me nowadays. The older I get, that is the easiest time for me to exercise self-love. If you cool being in that space, then you can't be in my space. And that's fine. Because to each his own, right? People don't have to move. People don't have to exercise physically. It's your life. You do what you choose to do with it. But the expectation that somebody is going to pick you up in your limitations and continue to carry you, no. And I think that is probably the one thing that I don't think I struggle. Well, maybe I do sometimes. I feel like some people should know, just kind of based on teachers, just kind of based on your surroundings and where you've been and how you've been kind of educated in learning. It's like the expectation that you have for your kids. Hey, you know better. We don't do that in this house. You know better. And so move according to your knowledge, right? And so there's that. But there are some people who just genuinely, man, they genuinely just don't even know where it comes from. They genuinely don't know why they choose the path that they choose. They genuinely see love and abuse. They genuinely don't get, you know, some things, you know. Some people just see destruction as, yeah, that's the normal. Well, he may abuse me, but he says he loves me. Everybody might not have the emotional capacity to carry that individual, but you can love yourself and love them as well from a distance. If it's a place where if carrying that individual puts you in a place where you're triggered, puts you in a place where you're not safe, it's okay. I want to encourage people to understand it, that you don't have to carry everybody in their lack of self-awareness. It's not your responsibility to carry everybody's bags. Just because somebody leaves a bag behind, somebody leaves a bag behind in the airport, you don't have to chase the person down. You don't have to run through the airport. Is this your bag? Is this your bag? Sometimes you just leave it. You just, oh, I hope they find that. Or, you leave it to a professional or to someone who is paid for that position, whether that's a therapist or whether that's airport security. Hey, someone left a bag there, and the trained professional will come and collect the bag. If that's a therapist, hey, somebody left their feelings and their emotions there. Let the trained professional help them, or take it to the trained professional. Take the bag to the trained professional. Take your friend or your relationship mate, partner, your loved one to the trained professional. Doesn't always have to be you, and it's okay to drop people off at the lost and found. Hope somebody finds them, because I think we extend a lot of energy, man. We give a lot of energy, sometimes energy and emotions that we don't have, because we're just trying to make it at home. We're just trying to make it in our own surroundings. And then we're extending ourselves beyond our capacity, trying to pull in and help and keep somebody else sane. Self love is important. It's important for you so that you can be your best version, so that you can support the people who actually do need you. And sometimes we have to take other relationships that we're in, friends or otherwise, to the lost and found, and hope that they get found. And if they don't, you know, not that they'll be lost, but sometimes that might be the case. Sometimes there's some people in my life that just might be lost. And I got to be okay with that. It doesn't mean that I don't feel some kind of way about it, but I have to realize what my limitation and my capacity is. I think that we all have a responsibility to look within and have a realization about ourselves, look at the people around us. What am I doing? Am I being a better version of myself today? Am I affecting someone else? Is my behavior, my tolerance, or my intolerance affecting someone around me? Is the way that I move affecting my job? Is the way that I move affecting my spouse, my child, affecting my health? What is it about me that I can better so that I can keep myself and the people around me in a safe place? Because also, one thing about self awareness or lack of self awareness is you can become a weapon. You can become a verbal and emotional weapon. You could kill somebody with words. You can kill somebody with your actions, and not necessarily violent actions, but you can dull the sense and confidence and in significance of someone around you, because people have their own inner struggles. And if you're just emotional laziness, your choice to, not be self observant is affecting someone else, I mean, don't you care? Right? And again, every situation is different. There are some people who just truly don't have a lens to see, but there's so many of us who can just try. So many of us can just try to be self aware, just think, empathize. A situation goes wrong. Okay, well, what was my part in that? And it's just, you know what, I love analogizing sports, because a lot of times you'll see a quarterback or a receiver, miss they the wrong route is run, or the pass is thrown. I can't think of the word. It's early. That they miss. They don't connect on a play, and they come to the sideline and they say, I assume they say, okay, well, what did you see? Well, this is what I was doing. I thought you were going to round outpost. I don't even know if that's a real NFL term, but I thought you were going to do this, this, and this. Oh, well, I saw this, this, and this. They go and rehash their individual perspectives, and then they come together on the next play. Oh, or it's something that's obvious. Oh, that was my bad. I missed you. I should have seen you, or it was a drop ball. My bad. I saw this, you know that's what I love about sports. Man, there's so many life analogies you can pull from sports. And but that's, yeah, but you can come together and say in disagreement, in an argument, hey, this is what I was thinking, you know, well, I apologize because my perspective was this, or I didn't mean to overthrow you in that situation. I didn't mean to underthrow you in that situation. I didn't mean to put you in line with that defender and who blasted you and knocked your head off and gave you a concussion. I should have, as Tom Brady says, I should have thrown a better ball so to protect you from that defender. That's a great one. Tom Brady says sometimes receivers who end up being defenseless, it's not the receiver or the defender's fault. It's the person who threw the ball. It's the quarterback's fault. The quarterback should throw a better ball so as to protect the receivers. I love that analogy. I love that analogy because if you are the quarterback in your household, if you're the quarterback in your relationship and you are throwing a bad pass to someone who is on your team, and they get laid out, decapitated, injured on the play, that ball is on you. They're trying to catch what you're throwing. Your spouse is trying to catch what you're throwing. And in the meantime, while they're trying to catch what you're throwing, they end up getting hurt. That was a ball you threw. I love that. Thank you, Tom Brady, for that. We're throwing bad passes. We're leaving the people around us defenseless, and they're getting decapitated by our actions. They're getting not decapitated, that's terrible, but you've seen violent plays in football. Yeah, we're leaving them in harm's way. We're throwing bad emotional passes, and people on our team are trying to catch them. When sometimes a receiver, they'll say, make a business decision. That ball and that defender was coming, and that hit was going to hurt. And you'll see a receiver just kind of, ah, I don't want that. And that's what we have to do. We have to look at the ball coming sometimes, look at the ball that our loved one or the person in our circle, whether it's your friend, your coworker, look at the ball that they're throwing and make a business decision and dodge. Oops, missed that. Mm. And just kind of walk back to the huddle and just kind of say, hey, I saw 85 coming or I saw 35 coming, didn't look safe, had to make a business decision. I mean, I'm not saying that they say that, but I'm just saying, sometimes somebody throws you an emotional pass, they throw you an attitude, they throw you something that you don't think is wise for you to deal with. Let it fall. Save yourself. Live to fight another day. Live to play another down. And so I think that rehashing or being aware enough to, hey, have a conversation with somebody to say, hey, that was my bad. I think we can all do that, but so many times we just expect other people to see us without seeing ourselves. I expect them to see me. I expect somebody else to see me and I don't see myself. Selfish thinking. Sometimes it's subconscious. Sometimes, we don't realize that that's what we're doing, but an inability to kind of come back to the huddle of your relationship and take some accountability, it's selfish. You expect other people to see you and you don't see yourself. It's lazy, emotionally lazy. To those of us who have the ability to be better, and we all have the ability to be better, some more than others, but whatever your capacity is to reach up, do that. If you only have a short arm and you can reach here today, great, fantastic. Reach there. And tomorrow, reach further. But I think we all owe it to ourselves to look within, just reach a little bit, just a little bit today, a little bit today, never tomorrow, right? Because in essence, tomorrow never comes. But each day that we're alive and present on this planet, I'm going to reach a little bit today. I'm going to try a little bit more today. I'm going to be a better individual today. I'm going to recognize some things in myself today, or I'm just going to check. I'm just going to check. A lot of times, they talk about meditation, silent meditation, where you're just feeling your body. Let me see what's going on in my body. We don't even think about that. We just get up with the expectation that our limbs and our body and our blood is just flowing the way it's supposed to. We don't even check to see how we're feeling on the inside physically. We don't pay attention to our physical presence. We're certainly not looking inward to see what our emotional temperament is. Self awareness, so important on so many levels. It affects so many things, starting with ourselves and especially people around us, from your neighbor to your coworker and everybody that you love in between. Self awareness. Self awareness. And to those who are just truly struggling with the lens to see anything, grace, grace for them, love from them, and sometimes that's from a distance. But self awareness, something I think about and I talk about more than anything else, I believe. More than anything else, it's important to me. It is something that the people in my household know that I'm big on. We talk about it a lot. And it's an imperfect it doesn't require perfection, but it's just, it is just a daily practice. Hey, what did I see today that I can be better with? So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to off road with. um but Tiffany Gaines, host of the Seekers podcast, what do we think about my sort of off road? I mean, this is kind of where my podcast started, where my YouTube channel started. I did a lot of maybe a few videos on self awareness, spiritual insights, and things like that. It really is my first love. And I'm also a big sports fan. So I just want to kind of get back to sort of this sort of nutrition, this sort of spiritual nutrition. These things really help me focus and sort of enhance my thinking and enhance my spirituality and enhance and broaden my emotions. I want to be a more graceful person. I want to be a more patient person. I want to be a more understanding person, but I just want to grow in whatever capacity I'm in. And that includes this YouTube channel. So be sure to press the subscribe button and jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Tiffany Gaines, host of the Seekers podcast. Peace.